I dare you play that audio right now." The air in the motel lobby crackled, each eye fixed on the trembling thumb hovering over the playback icon on her phone. "You really want to do this?" The words dropped with a sneer, silk scarf knotted high, voice thin. "Go ahead," she replied, voice steady. "Or are you scared of your own secrets?" A chair scraped, someone coughed, breaking the hush. "I have nothing to hide," the cousin hissed through clenched teeth. "You sure about that? Because I hear she named names," the lawyer said quietly, gaze never leaving her face. She didn't flinch as the phone screen reflected every hope, every risk. "Let everyone hear it then," snapped the aunt, her nails biting into the marble counter. The sun burned through the streaked window, dust motes swirling over the battered check-in ledger. How did it come to this moment? A family on the edge, everything to lose? To understand, you have to go back, before any of them realized what they'd really taken. $44.19. That's what Jessica had in her account as she pulled her 10-year-old Corolla onto the rutted gravel in Johnson County, on the scarred edge of Sheridan, Wyoming. The late April dusk was mean, sky bruised over the empty fields, the wind sharp enough to knife through the seams of her thrift store coat. On the seat beside her, 2 suitcases and her daughter's battered unicorn backpack were jammed against the passenger door. Lucy squirmed in the backseat, face half buried in her fleece. "Are we staying here tonight, Mom?" Her voice was thin, almost hopeful, but it wavered. Jessica glanced at the faded motel sign blinking off and on through the low fog. "For tonight, honey," she replied, tapping the plastic-wrapped lunchbox between them. "We'll make it work." The last time they'd had a home, the rent had gone under just as private school tuition was due. She served eggs at 3 diners a day to scrape by after Michael left, and she'd vowed Lucy would never know the taste of cafeteria bread lines. But standing there with nothing but rain and worn carpet between them and the road, Jessica wondered if grit alone was enough. Her phone buzzed, a text from Aunt Darlene, sharp and cold even in print. "You're late. Well, reading is done. We're at the station." "Did Aunt Darlene say anything about Nana?" Lucy asked, peeking out from her rain-fogged window as they rolled onto the old highway. Jessica swallowed her anger. "She sent us this." She held up a blurry selfie Darlene had sent at the gas station, Cousin Brooke grinning, cashmere thrown over her shoulders even by the pumps. "Looks like they're already celebrating." "Mom, that's not fair," Lucy said. Shouldn't we be there too?" Jessica pressed her lips tight. "Sometimes grown-ups forget to play fair, kiddo." The gas station came into view. Its clapboard was warped, turquoise tape hanging from the edges of the closed-off service bay. Inside, under flickering fluorescence, Aunt Darlene and Brooke were perched on a pair of cracked vinyl chairs, glossy nails and silk scarves in perfect order. Next to them, Uncle Ray, always half asleep, always exactly where he shouldn't be, studied his phone. "You took your sweet time," Darlene called, that glacier smile never melting. Jessica set down the suitcases. "Traffic on Route 287. I came straight from work. My shift ended an hour ago." Her waitress uniform stuck damp to her back. Brooke didn't glance up from her phone. All that effort for a boarded-up dump. She nodded at the tape and the battered key ring on the counter. Jessica looked at the envelope, her name scrawled on front in Nana's loopy hand, hook one, right there with something heavy inside. Not a check, not a deed, just a jagged bundle of keys and a folded slip of paper. For Jessica, the answers and what's owed are behind what you see. A chill swept over her that had nothing to do with the wind. Something didn't fit. "This is it," she said quietly. Brooke laughed, a sharp, cruel sound. "Enjoy your gas station. Maybe you'll find lost change in the snack machine." If you've ever watched every hope slip through your hands while others smile, keep listening. The story isn't over, not by a long shot. By the time dusk edged to full night, Jessica stood at the side of the battered gas station. Rain pounded the metal awning, echoing in the hollow space beneath her boots. Lucy waited in the car, drawing invisible patterns in the foggy glass. Jessica fiddled with the ring of keys, half of them rusted, none matching any lock she could find. Her mind spun back to years ago when Nana had let her run through the station aisles, hands sticky with penny candy, shoes tapping on linoleum. Back then, the place felt endless. She remembered Darlene sweeping in, perfume sharp, snapping at her to be quiet, grown-ups are talking. Brooke always tagging behind, her laugh already rehearsed for anyone watching. Tonight, the inside of the station carried the scent of dust and gasoline, old light bleeding through broken blinds. Jessica found the walk-in closet in the manager's office, coats still hanging from someone else's winter. She pressed her hand against the back panel, feeling for a seam. Suddenly, a coat hook shifted beneath her palm. There, a rough edge pushed in. The wall slid open with a low groan. Behind it, not a passage but a safe. Metal pitted, combination dial worn smooth. On top, taped shut, a letter. Her name on the envelope, this time in steady, unnatural block script. Hook 2, the key was here, but why now? Her heartbeat thudded loud in the silent air. She whispered, "Lucy, come here," and the girl slid off her seat, approaching with careful steps. Lucy peered over her mother's arm. "Is that for us?" Jessica nodded. "We're about to find out," and she spun the dial. Inside the safe was a velvet pouch. A stack of aged documents tied with florist's ribbon, and a small digital recorder, the red light blinking steady. It was all real dense, waiting to explode. Jessica's fingers trembled as she unfolded the letter, Nana's handwriting looser, more tired. "If you're reading this, you're the only one I trust," she wrote. "There's more to your birth than you know. I never intended to let them steal it." She read aloud, voice barely more than a hiss. "Darlene and Brooke threatened me. The will they made me sign is not the truth. Find the lawyer from Jackson, he has the original. I made an audio confession. Play it when the time is right. My girl, you are more than they'll ever admit." Lucy gasped, clutching Jessica's wrist. "Mom, is Nana, was she afraid?" Jessica blinked, eyes blurring. "It looks that way." She set the letter aside and unspooled the pouch. Inside lay a heavy signet ring, a key, and a small square of cash, hundreds, maybe more. Hook 3, something more than sentiment. Jessica felt the pulse of a new kind of hope. She tucked it all back as Lucy shivered in the pale glow. "We can't trust them," Jessica whispered, "but Nana gave us a map." Thunder rumbled, shaking the beams. Jessica grabbed her phone and dialed the lawyer's number, her resolve solid as the storm rolled outside. The rain hadn't let up when Jessica braved the highway to Jackson, 30 miles north. Lucy sat huddled in the passenger seat, knees drawn to her chest, chewing on a strand of hair in anxious silence. "We're seeing someone who can help," Jessica said, trying to reassure them both. Lucy's voice was small. Was Nana really scared of Aunt Darlene? Jessica hesitated, thinking of the letter, the coded warnings tucked between each line. "People act strange when money's involved, but I promise I'll keep you safe." The law office sat above an old feed store. Jessica fought the urge to turn the car around. She'd always hated asking for favors, relying on others, but time was snapping at her heels. Darlene's message, "We'll finish up when you come to your senses, don't expect much," still stung, and her shift at the diner was less than 8 hours away. Inside, the hallway was dim, carpet thin to the plywood. The lawyer, Mr. Talbot, wore a tie too loose to ever look crisp. Jessica laid the letter, the signet ring, and the digital recorder on his desk. "My grandmother left this," she stated, voice flat. "I need the truth." He regarded the pile, then her, his gaze settling on Lucy for a long moment. "You're Evelyn's girl," he said softly, "knew you from when you were knee-high." Jessica's jaw tightened. "She wrote about a will, another one said you had it." He nodded, unlocking a battered file cabinet. "I do." His movements were slow, deliberate. "And let me tell you, this trust, not what Brooke wishes it was." The documents he handed over were brittle but unmistakable. Jessica skimmed the lines, her name, not Brooke's or Darlene S., listed as sole inheritor. Mr. Talbot leaned forward. "The whole station, the attached house, and the 12-room motel outside Carmel, California, are yours. Nana confided in me right after Darlene's little visit from Florida. She said, "If something happens, don't let those two touch it. Only give it to Jessica when she's ready to fight for it." Lucy's eyes widened. A motel, like with neon lights and all. Jessica's mouth went dry. Why give me the gas station then? Because the house and the motel were hidden behind an LLC, Mr. Talbot replied, voice low. They pushed her, threatened her, and she faked frailty to keep them off the real trail. The station's just a shell. But the big money is in Carmel. She wanted you to have a life, not a liability. A white-hot tremor ran through Jessica's veins. How long do I have to claim it? Talbot frowned, flipping his desk calendar. 90 hours, then probate closes and Darlene can challenge. But Brooke's already sniffing around. She booked a flight back from Miami. 4 days tops before you lose everything. Jessica clutched the deed, heart thudding. She'd have to act fast, far faster than she'd ever hustled tables or survived a double shift. Hook 4, the horizon shifted, the stakes multiplied, and the clock was ticking. Jessica drove through the ghostly dawn, the next 72 hours a blur of phone calls, arrangements, and highway miles. Through patchy mobile reception, she tracked Lucy's online lessons from gas station parking lots, stopping only for rest area fast food and to let Lucy nap curled in the backseat, unicorn backpack as a pillow. Every turn brought new complications. The motel's current manager, a thick-necked man named Vince, refused entry without proof Jessica was the real deal. The Carmel Sheriff's Office left endless voicemails demanding documentation, and her ex called, demanding to know why Lucy was missing school. The worst blow came 3 days out. In the roadside diner, Jessica caught sight of Brooke across the room, manicured hands fluttering as she laughed with a man in a starched lawyer's suit. Darlene appeared next, eyes cold as ice, settling beside Brooke with a venomous embrace. Jessica slid into the booth, tucking Lucy behind her. "Keep your head down." Brooke smirked, "Thought we'd lost you in Wyoming. You really going to chase Nana's ghost to California? That's cute." Darlene leaned in, her perfume slicing the air. "You're embarrassing yourself. If you keep digging, I'm calling child services." Jessica's jaw clenched. "We're not leaving." Darlene smiled coldly. "You've never known when to quit, Jessica. You'll walk away with nothing again." The confrontation cut deep, but Jessica refused to drop her gaze. Lucy tugged her sleeve. "Mom, we can go. We don't need it." Jessica squeezed her hand. "We do, kiddo, and we're not alone." Hook 5, the enemy had arrived, and with them, the real danger. Jessica realized their desperation. They didn't just want the property, they needed to keep something buried. That night, back at the motel, Jessica locked herself in the station's tiny office and thumbed on the digital recorder for the first time. Nana's voice, ragged but unmistakably hers, filled the air. "If you're hearing this, Darlene forced me. She said she'd tell the world about what happened in 1982, about Brooke. None of them know you're really Margaret's girl, not mine. I signed their will, but I told Talbot the truth. Please, Jessica, be brave. Don't let those women destroy what's left of my good name." Jessica's breath shuddered, blood pounded in her ears. She turned to Lucy, who was curled on the office couch, eyes wide and fearful. "Pack your things, Sweetbia," Jessica murmured, voice steady. "We're heading west tonight." Jessica spent the next day making lists, photographs, copies of every document, ringing the Carmel office ahead and arranging for Mr. Talbot to arrive by noon. The plan was simple. Present the original will and audio, expose Darlene and Brooke before they had a chance to rally their lawyers, and finally claim what Nana meant her to have. That morning, Jessica pressed her palm against the dusty door of the rundown Carmel motel. The tiles were cracked, the neon blared no vacancy, though the room stood empty. At the far end of the lot, Darlene's powder blue Mercedes gleamed under the misty sky, Brooke beside her, snapping selfies. Inside, Vince the manager straightened at the sight of Jessica and Talbot, legal files under his arm. Brooke sauntered forward, her smile brittle. We called ahead, sweetheart. This place already belongs to us and our attorney. You can leave. Jessica forced herself to stand tall. Lucy squeezed her hand, chin jutting. Talbot cleared his throat. Ma'am, I have the original will and legal documentation naming Jessica as beneficiary. I am here as Miss Evelyn Carver's attorney of record. The lobby felt charged, like a thunderstorm about to break. Brooke scoffed, waving her lawyer forward. Produce whatever forgery you want. You think a waitress outranks a signed will and family testimony. Darlene, cheeks flushed, hissed at Jessica, "Get out before I call the sheriff." Talbot drew a breath. There's one more thing, a digital confession recorded by the deceased, and we have a notary present. A tense hush fell. Vince eyed the growing crowd. Someone whispered near the front desk. Jessica, for the first time in her life, didn't flinch. "Play it," she told Talbot. Brooke's control slipped. "Don't you dare." Talbot pressed the button. Nana's voice, clear and tired, filled the battered lobby, the words echoing off ancient tile. "I was forced by Darlene and Brooke to sign a will I didn't believe in. Jessica is my only true beneficiary. If you hear this, don't let them lie. I was scared, but I refused to let them win." Darlene paled, grabbing at Brooke's arm. "Shut it off," she shrieked. "This is a setup." She was losing her mind. A knot of motel employees gathered in the doorway. Someone snapped a photo. Talbot spoke up, voice measured but loud. "The audio will be submitted to probate court today along with the supporting documents. If you interfere or make any threats against Jessica or her daughter, it will be considered obstruction." Brooke's veneer cracked. "You can't." "I dare you play that audio. Right now," Jessica shot back, eyes narrowing, the line from earlier now weaponized. Brooke hesitated, lips trembling, glancing at the lawyer and the door. "You really want to do this?" Darlene rasped, voice shaking, scarf bunched tight. "Go ahead," Jessica pressed, steeling every fiber against a lifetime of slights. "Or are you scared of your own secrets?" Brooke's hands curled into claws. "I have nothing to hide." Before anyone could blink, Talbot slid the phone toward her. "You sure? Because I hear she named names." Lucy's small voice pierced the tension, dry and defiant. "My Nana never lied. You should leave." A hush swept the room. Darlene, face tightening, hissed, "You've made a grave mistake, Jessica. You've ruined this family." Jessica turned, locking eyes with her aunt. "You ruined it a long time ago. I'm just setting it right." She stepped back, the heavy key feeling like an anchor in her palm. As the audio ended, Vince cleared his throat. "Looks like the law S made up their mind. You two," he nodded at Darlene and Brooke, "need to leave the property before noon. Court order." Brooke looked away, the mask of insolence dissolving into panic. Darlene crushed her silk scarf in one white-knuckled fist. Talbot gathered the documents, motioning Jessica forward. "Let's finish this." Outside, Lucy wrapped her arms around Jessica's waist. "We did it, Mom," she whispered. But Jessica just squeezed her daughter, eyes on the empty lot where pride had given way to consequence. By the end of the week, news of the audio confession and the hidden will spread through both towns. Darlene and Brooke's business ventures, restaurant franchises in Miami, real estate in Texas, began to unravel as rumors of their schemes caught up. Talbot filed motions that halted every asset transfer in their names. Payouts dried up, clients bylaid. Jessica made a statement at probate court. "I don't want revenge, I just want what my grandmother promised me." The probate judge, reviewing Nana's voice, the letter, and Talbot's own testimony, ruled in Jessica's favor. All property, a restored house, the gas station, and the Carmel Motel, passed to her alone. Darlene and Brooke exited as quietly as vipers cornered by their own venom. Community reaction was swift. Carmel's main street buzzed. "Did you hear? Carver's granddaughter is back, ousted the frauds too." Women from Jessica's shift at the diner sent casseroles. The motel doors stayed open for every family who needed a place to land, and Lucy found friends who only cared if she liked truth or dare and pool parties. Vince approached Jessica one day with a sheepish grin. Never thought I'd thank you for exposing a mess. Turns out the old place ain't too bad in the right hands. Lucy, skipping rope by the porch, flashed a peace sign. We're never leaving, right, Mom? Jessica ruffled her hair. Right, Bunny, we're not running anymore. Later, as she finished repainting the lobby, the bank called loan finally approved. Jessica hung the sign, Welcome Home, above the door, sunlight streaming through crystal-clear glass. Word spread, and the motel, once a stopover for drifters, became the heart of the community. Holiday dinners, school fundraisers, town meetings held in the freshly restored dining hall, laughter bouncing from freshly painted walls. Every room, once a symbol of defeat, glowed with new possibility. If you want the world to see you for who you are, sometimes you have to fight, even when you're down to $40 and hope. Jessica's lesson was forged in steel and grit. If this story makes you believe a second shot is possible, even when the odds are ugly, share it. Sometimes we can only rebuild after everything false burns away. And once you find your door, turn the key and walk all the way inside. On a wind-chilled Tuesday, 2 weeks after the court's final ruling, Jessica unlocked the motel office just past sunup and found the front desk stacked high with mail, real estate offers, bills, and tucked on top, a narrow blue envelope. Its return address was Wyoming. Recognizing the handwriting, Jessica smiled and slid it open. "Mom, who's it from?" Lucy asked, rubbing sleep from her eyes as she padded in, pajamas still rumpled. Even now, the girl insisted on taking breakfast at the counter, their ritual. "It's from Mr. Talbot," Jessica replied. She scanned the letter, brow furrowing as the lawyer's measured prose spilled out. Talbot congratulated her on the win, reminded her the Carver legacy would always carry shadows, but wrote too of the rumors stirring back in Sheridan. "Seems the station is getting offers too, and guess what? They want to film a news story about Nana's case, modern inheritance drama, they call it." Jessica snorted. "Never thought we'd make headlines." Lucy brightened. "Maybe we'll be on TV. Tell them about the secret wall and Nana's ring." Jessica laughed, ruffling her hair. "Maybe, or maybe I'll just tell them we're fixing leaks and learning how to bake French toast in a cracked motel kitchen. That's the real story, isn't it?" A thud at the front door drew their gaze. Vince, grinning like a child, entered with a tool belt and a clipboard. "Morning, ladies, that reporter's coming at 10. Figured you'd want the boiler fixed before they get their slow-motion shots of resilience in action." His air quotes were gentle, lacking the old skepticism. Jessica thanked him, relief curling in her chest. "First on my list, second's new plantings out front. This whole place needs life." "Got it covered." Vince nodded toward the porch, where Betty, the former night manager and now, thank heavens, the queen of all things growing, unloaded flats of marigolds and lavender from her sedan. Lucy slipped outside, already calling dibs on the trowel. "I get first row," she cheered, her laughter spilling down the walkway. Jessica stood in the open door for a long minute, breathing in the salt air, the faintest scent of hope mixed with last night's rain. Inside, the phone rang. For a beat, she considered ignoring it, but old habits lingered. "Carver Motel, Jessica speaking. How can I help you?" A deep, familiar voice crackled through the line. "Jess, it's Michael." She stiffened. Her ex's name still drew a tremor of old fights, but now nothing but steel. "What do you want?" she asked, steady. He seemed to sense the new ground. "Heard about the court thing," he began, tentative. "Wanted to check on Lucy, on you." "She's happy, school starts here soon. No need to worry," Jessica replied, polite but clipped. A long pause. If you ever need help." "We're good, Michael, thanks." She wasn't cruel, but she was done leaving the door cracked for the past. She hung up, the final thread quietly snipped. She was pouring orange juice when Lucy returned, cheeks pink. Saw Mrs. Patel from next door. She brought cinnamon rolls. Lucy hopped onto a stool. "She says people keep asking about the famous Carver family." Lucy giggled. "Are we famous now, Mom?" Jessica arched an eyebrow. "Maybe just a bit, don't let it go to your head." Lucy bit into a roll and turned serious. Nana would like it here, don't you think, with the flowers and people coming for stories? I know she would, Jessica said softly. She wanted this place to matter, not just to us, to everyone passing through. Lucy nodded, licking sugar from her lips. Can we keep helping people, like for real? Jessica reached out, her hand gentle on Lucy's back. We can help anyone who walks through those doors, honey. That's what family's for. The morning swelled, full of bustle and new rhythm. At 10 sharp, a local news van trundled in. A reporter with windblown hair and a flair for drama gushed over faded family photos and the letters that exposed the truth. Sitting in the re-upholstered lobby chair, Jessica fielded questions as Lucy listened, wide-eyed, from the edge of the camera frame. What would you say to other families fighting over inheritance? The reporter asked, voice velvet smooth. Jessica weighed the words. That money and property aren't worth a soul, but telling the truth, protecting the people you love, that matters more than anything in the world. The rest, she smiled, glancing at Lucy and the window where townsfolk gathered near the flower beds, the rest is just bricks and beams. The interview finished. The phone rang non-stop, bookings for the 4th of July, requests for donations, even a proposal from the high school drama club to use the motel for rehearsals. Betty poked her head inside, apron dusted in dirt. Jessica want to help pick wildflowers for the dinner tables. Lucy claims she's found the best ones by the fence. Jessica grinned, grateful for any earthy distraction, and followed them out into the sun. Together, 3 generations of survival, Evelyn's memory in tow, clipped snapdragons and daisies, laughter scattering over the new grass. That evening, after check-in slowed and twilight painted the porch lavender, Jessica and Lucy sat wrapped in an old quilt, feet up on the newly painted stoop. The road beyond shimmered gold, the motel sign glowed, "Welcome home," against purple dusk. Do you think Nana knows, Lucy asked, her chin tucked on Jessica's shoulder, about us making it? Jessica leaned her head against her daughter's. I think she does. Sometimes I feel her right here. She placed her hand over her heart. Silence pooled soft, not empty. Mom, Lucy asked, will you tell me the whole story, all of it, about Nana, about when you were little, and about Brooke and Aunt Darlene before they got mean? Yes, honey, Jessica replied, voice sure. You deserve to know everything, not just the secrets, everything good too. That's how stories become real. Lucy nodded, eyes shining. Start with the part about penny candy. So Jessica did, about sticky fingers and small kindnesses and the way real family always finds a way to come back together, even when the rest falls apart. She spoke of second chances, truth spoken at the perfect moment, and love, how sometimes that's the only thing that saves us. As the night deepened, guests, voices, and the clink of dishes drifted from the dining room. Jessica drew Lucy closer, a fierce contentment burning beneath her ribs. Tomorrow would bring another day, plumbing, bookings, missed school buses, and always something new to learn. But tonight, with her daughter laughing softly at stories of a wild-haired Jessica stealing gumballs, everything broken felt remade. Their motel wasn't grand, not yet, but hope had come home, and this time she wasn't letting it go. Jessica listened to the hush, the highway's far-off promise, and let herself rest at last, knowing the past could no longer steal what she'd fought to build, and that whatever tomorrow held, she and Lucy would unlock it together. The moon hung low, silver and kind above the sleeping motel while Jessica lingered on the porch, Lucy finally dozing beside her, curls tumbled over a borrowed pillow. Below, the newly seated beds edged the walk, everything damp and breathing after a hard day's work. Sounds from the highway slipped in and out, car doors, laughter, wind picking up somewhere beyond the cypress. Jessica's hands rested on her knees, Nana's signet ring, hers now catching the porch light in its etched lion's mane. She turned it slowly, marveling, not at the prize but at the peace. All the old fear, the hunger and the rage had faded into something softer, more like memory than wound. She won, but not by burning bridges the way Darlene and Brooke had tried to threat. Instead, she'd held fast and the truth had done the rest. The front door whispered open behind her. Betty's gentle step crossed the planks, careful not to wake Lucy. She offered a mug of tea, mint and lemon, steam rising between them. "Couldn't sleep," Betty murmured. Jessica curled grateful fingers around the cup. "Too quiet. My whole life's been running, now I'm afraid to put my feet up." Betty grinned, eyes shining under porch light. "You'll learn. This place taught me patience and grit years ago and a good trick for leaky faucets. You belong here, Jessica." Jessica nodded, swallowing around a knot she hadn't expected. "It still doesn't feel real sometimes. Nana's gone, but all the mess she was tangled in, somehow it led us home." Betty took the step beside her, watching the horizon. "People remember the mess first, but they remember kindness longer. Your grandmother had a tougher heart than most, but she wanted this for you, for Lucy, not just a roof, a chance to start over." Jessica's gaze swept the parking lot, neon blush painting the cracked spots gold. "I don't want to make the same mistakes, not with the legacy, not with Lucy." Betty squeezed her hand. "You won't. She's had honesty from you, and that's more than most ever get. Someday she'll take what you built and make it better still." The hush stretched, gentle and close. Jessica breathed in the scent of wildflowers, the salt of the unseen sea. Through the screen of sleep, Lucy shifted, mumbling, "Love you, Mom." Jessica brushed a curl from Lucy's brow. "Love you too, Bunny," to the moon. In that unguarded moment, she allowed herself to believe it wasn't luck or desperation that put them here, but courage and a little grace. Strain edged away, replaced by hope as solid as concrete. Betty rose, pausing. "Come by the kitchen before breakfast," she whispered. "We're making lemon pancakes, celebrations in order." Jessica smiled, watching Betty slip inside. For the first time since she'd opened Nana's letter, the future looked plain and generous. Not easy, but open, hers to claim. She glanced up at the cracked sign, "Welcome Home," burning softly in the darkness. And she knew, finally and for certain, they had come home, not to what was lost, but to everything waiting to be made new. She gathered Lucy, still small, still trusting, into her arms and carried her through the door, heart quiet and full. Tomorrow would rise again, a clean counter, motes of light, the laughter of families she'd promised to shelter. And when it did, Jessica would meet it head-on, the past behind her. Her own name on the deed, her daughter at her side, and hope unmistakable and bright as her only inheritance.